When I told my friends that I believe that Stormblood was the best Final Fantasy XIV expansion I've played, including Shadowbringers, they said that they believed my opinion was a bit controversial. So let's take the first things first. I'm going to start, as always, with music, okay? Now, for me, music is a very important thing in a game. If the music does not hook me, I cannot properly immerse myself into the game, I cannot get into the scenery, I cannot be appealed by the story, okay? Now, the same thing applies to overall sounds, but we will stick to the music for the time being. What is there to say about the music of Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood? On one hand, you have the Western theme, you have the epic fights with Shinryu, with Xenos, you have like the whole Alamigo part, and then you have the 180. You go all the way to the Far East and you enjoy the more Eastern themed musics. And here is when we take our first pause and we address the first elephant in the room, which is Kugane. The first time I visited Kugane, I would just fucking stop there, literally stop, and listen. The theme was so relaxing, so soothing, it gave you this sense of wonder and at the same time this sense of adventure, okay? Like, you were calm, you enjoyed listening to it, and at the same time it urged you to learn more about this culture, I believe. After that, and this is where shit hit the fan for me, was the Tsukuyomi theme, okay? Now, we have Phase 1 and everything goes smooth, and then Phase 2 hits. By the way, if you want to check out my live reaction to Tsukuyomi music, I will have it linked in the description down below. I lost my everything that moment that Phase 2 hit, you know? The piano entering, the melody, you know, and at the same time, the chorus and what's happening into the fight. It was relaxing. Intense was what it became in Phase 3. It was... Honestly, I have no words to describe that particular moment. The music of Stormblood was, and will possibly be, my favorite music, okay? Now, Shadowbringers is a very close competitor when it comes to that. However, when it comes to boss themes, everything you did is like a bit better in my ears, at least. Now, with that aside, we're going to move into gameplay, and lastly, we're going to address the elephant in the room, which is the story. Now, speaking of gameplay, I believe that level 60 to 70 and then 70 in sequence, is when the gameplay started to feel fluid, started to feel really good. Now, I did Stormblood as the Warrior of Light Voodoo. Like, I started as a monk, which, honestly guys, I don't like the monk class. However, it started getting fast-paced, very, very fast-paced, you know, and I could see me starting to enjoy monk, even though it's my least favorite spec. And then we go to Samurai, okay? Now, the moment we visited East and I spec into Samurai, I'm like, oh, now we're cooking, you know? From the clean cats and the sounds, okay, this is what I meant before when I said we'll talk about sound later. This is the later. Such clean cats in the Samurai audio. Such intensity in every single attack you delivered, and it was fast-paced, you got to keep your stickers up. It felt really, really good. Like, for the first time, I started to feel like I am playing a complete class. The finale, the conclusion is that the gameplay started to become way, way better than what we had gotten used to in Heavensward and, well, before that in ARR. And now, it's time for the best of the best of the best things, okay? It's time to talk about story, okay? And I will try to keep it as brief as possible, but I need to address why. I need to address why I think this story of Stormblood is unparalleled by any other expansion. Yes, I know, they tell you this about Shadowbringers. Hear me out. So you start at 4.0. How do you start? How does the expansion begin? Well, you know what happened with Ilberdo, Omega broke free, shit hit the fan. So we're like, you know what, we need for the first time to go on the offensive, because like we know that the Empire is going to see it as we attack them. Even though it was like this fucking lunatic, they will believe that we attacked them. So for the first time, we need to decide whether we go to attack or whether we chicken out. And we decided, in my opinion, we took the right choice. We decided to attack. We go in, and we start doing skirmishes, and we win, and we get our morale up, and everyone's like, you know what, we have the Warrior of Light with us, we're gonna win, we're gonna fucking destroy everything, we're the best. And then, time comes for our first assault in Castle Valodina, if I recall correctly the name, I don't remember clearly. And when we're just, you know, scouting ahead with Pippin, shout out for Pippin, love this guy, we hear explosions, and we turn around and we see Rowlett's Ridge ablaze. It was at this moment that we knew we fucked up. You know, like, there is no salvation. Immediately, the attack is off. We go back and we find Rowlett's Ridge leveled, destroyed. A lot of people hurt, bleeding. Stola was down. They could not do anything. And we have to interfere. We run over there. We fight Xenos. And for the first time, Xenos wipes the floor with her axe. Like, Xenos destroys us. And it is at that moment when you realize that, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm not that overpowered. Maybe it's not as I thought it would. It was, you know? So you lose the first important fight. They destroy the spirit of rebellion, and you're quite literally forced to leave and go to the Far East, because you're not going to defeat this foe. You're not good enough. You're not strong enough. It's impossible. So Alphinaud does something that he does very good. He's like, you know what? One guy, two front. Where's he gonna be? So we debate here. We're like, fuck this shit, we're out, and we go to the Far East. Now, first we need to establish how we get to the Far East. You know, the whole Kugane thing, how we go over there, you listen to the music, it's very intense, it's very interesting. You relax there, then you go into the Confederacy, you find out what is happening, how the Empire just fucking controls everything in that zone. There is no escape, there is no nothing, there is no hope. People are just slaves there, you know? And you go there, and slowly you start trying to rekindle the spirits of rebellion, you know? And as you do that, people are like, no, you know what? No, we protested in the past, we fought in the past, and it didn't work out well. Like, every single time we bled, every single time it got worse and worse. We don't want this anymore. It's through determination that you bring out the spirit in these people. And as you slowly start to cause rebellions taking place left and right, you learn about Lord Hien, which, shout out to Lord Hien, love this guy. We move out north to the Azim Steppe. I'm not even going to speak about the story that happens in the Azim Steppe. For me, the epitome of Azim Steppe are the, well, okay, my character, my main is a Zayla, okay? Zayla is the best race in Final Fantasy XIV, period. And we got to meet the best of them all, okay? Sadu. Dude, the Dothraki, or however the fuck they're called, I call them Dothraki, you know, and Sadu, the best of the best Zayla I've had. I laughed my ass. Do you remember the moment when you go over there, and it's Stola, and she holds her ground, and she fights, and then, you know, the Sunbro goes, and he's like, are you my Nama? And she's like, how did she call it? I mean, she calls him Little Son, that's the important part, you know? And the best part is that Sadu just fucking starts laughing at his face, you know? She's like, oh my god, Little Son, Little Son. She makes fun of him. I almost fell from my chair laughing at that particular moment. I did not know how to possibly react. Like, it was so fun, so amusing. And then you get to slowly meet more and more of their culture. You get to learn more and more of the Zayla. And at the end of the 4.0 part in the east, what do? You dethrone Yotsuyu, and then you know what? You're like, okay, we've done what we've come here to do. We've debated Xenos. We have taken care of the Far East. It's time to go west. It's time to go back to Alamigo. So you visit back to Alamigo, and then you start moving on and progressing and fighting, and you deal with Fordola, and then you keep on going, and you enter the palace, and you destroy everything, and then you fight Xenos and, well, a huge ass fucking dragon that goes by the name of Shinryu, and you destroy them. Xenos actually cuts his own throat. It was a bloody massacre, but the war is finally over. And now here comes the best part. As 4.0 ended, you were left with, well, now what? Now what do we do, okay? So 4.1 starts, and you know that you're going to start rebuilding. You need to address the Fordola thing, because she's still alive. You need to address what you're going to do with Boban, if he's gonna stay in Alamigo, or he's gonna go back to Ul'dah. You need to address what is going to happen. And it is here that the game steps up a notch, in my eyes. You see, Nanamo, up to this point, was a fucking parrot. Like, she was literally on Raban's shoulder, on his arm, you know, one of the two that he still has, and she didn't really stand out. However, at this point, at 4.1, Nanamo starts to grow, and she's like, you know what? Go ask him. Does he want to come back? Or does he want to stay there? What's he gonna do? she goes out and she starts looking for monetization. She wants to fix the fucking refugee issue because, like, you know, with Alamigo now free, the people from Ul'dah, the former refugees, can go back to their houses. She goes and speaks with Goldberg. Manderville, dude, killed his father. So just for that, you know, immediately just extra points. And then she has the guts to go and stand against Lolorito, okay? Lolorito, who is one of the two people with the Adeleji that pretty much signaled her downfall in the previous expansion. Now, it only gets better from this point onward, okay? Like, you find out that Xenos is alive. Slowly, at the end, you learn about the cinematic that Tsuyu is alive, and then 4.2 hits, and now is when the shit hits the fan, okay? You learn about Gozetsu and Tsuyu, you learn about their adventures, how they went on, about the amnesia, you learn about all these things, okay? So, on top of that, while you're presented with the moral dilemma of, should I kill someone that has the mental capacity and the comprehension of a child? Should I kill that? Or the amnesia actually lets them be? What about the crimes that they have committed as Yotsuyu? What are you gonna do here? Okay? So you have this philosophy debate in your head, and then you have this fucking dogshit garbage, you know? Asahi coming back and he's like, oh, hi sister. Oh, how are you? Don't you remember me? And at the end he threatens you. Okay, I didn't like Asahi from the first time I saw him. I thought this guy was a fucking piece of shit, you know? And I was proven right. However, one cannot deny that he had a plan, and you needed to find out what the plan was. And at 4.3, you see what the plan was. The whole piece with the Empire was debate. What did he want to do? He wanted to debate Yotsuyu into remembering and then become the Primal, and because she was a dormant citizen that became the Primal, they summoned as such pieces of, oh my god, weird their bodies, okay? Like, that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to make us appear as the bad people. However, even though he managed to succeed in a portion of his plan, it clearly didn't go as he intended. Because Tsukuyomi does get summoned. This happens. We defeat Tsukuyomi. Everything is intense. That fight is the best fight I've done in my life. I teared up. I was like, oh my god, no. We just saved her. She finally became good and she has to die? I don't want to kill her, you know? And then this piece of shit comes in and shoots her. And for the first time, I believe, you're presented with a chaotic evil character. Never before in Final Fantasy XIV did someone just walk in and shoot someone with cold blood. Like Yotsuyu, sure, she stepped on Gozetsu's face. I'm not going to address that, but this guy comes in, gets his gun out, and pow, just fucking shoots her, you know? And it was at that moment that you're like, dude, I want to kill this guy. I remember reacting live on stream. I was like, please tell me I get to kill this guy. And of course I was hit by the smiley face, you know, police. What happens? She has her revenge. Now, Yotsuyu is a tragic figure because by this point you already know about her past. You know how her parents, well, foster parents, treated her like a slave pretty much. They sold her like a fucking whore. She was insignificant to them. They saw her just like a beautiful chunk of meat. That's what they saw, you know? So you start to, you know everything about Tsukuyomi that you need to know, and she finally has her revenge. She kills both parents. When? After she was thinking of ending it all, okay? Because she remembered what happened. But Gozetsu enters the room, she hears about her parents, she sees them, she's filled with rage, she kills them, and then finally, she kills Asahi. And at that moment that I saw her kill Asahi, I was like, she was in her deathbed, she was about to die. And she's like, why are you sad? The Witch of Doma is dead. You should be happy. You should not be sad. And it is at that moment I responded with, Gozetsu is not going to see it that way. And she's like, he deserves better. And in all fairness, he does. We cannot forgive the sins of her past, and they are many. However, it is this philosophy and this dilemma that Stormblood presents to you and makes you question everything. Is she the absolute evil? And then Shadowbringers, you know, just a teaser here, will go on top of this and it will tease even more. Like, are the Ascians the bad guys? Are you sure they are the bad guys? Is good and bad so absolute in the end? And you find out that no, you need to understand that being evil is a perspective. It's how you view things, you know? Then at 4.3 is when you slowly start to realize that, you know what, we go west again, we find that there is a missing corpse, we find that Xenos' body is gone. By this point, we know that the Elidibus is mind-controlling the body, if I recall correctly. Then we meet Gaius for the first time. And then the next patch falls out. You go over there, you start seeing that people are passing out left and right. What's happening with the science? Who is this guy, this mysterious figure that's calling out to you? You found out about the chemical warfare. You find out about all these things that the Empire has in store for you. And the game hooks up and is like, you know what? If you thought that this was the end, you're in for a surprise, because we're just getting started here. You deal with the chemical warfare, you see a former enemy, a former foe, being on your side, fighting with you, trying to destroy this, trying to right the wrongs of his past. He never wanted this. He wanted an independent, a powerful empire. He wanted to unite the people of Eorzea and the Empire. He did not want to conquer and destroy, you know? And when he finds out that the Empire is nothing more than a puppet, he loses his shit. He's like, no, this is not what the Empire is to me. This is not what I can allow to happen. And then 4.5 hits, all of the science are gone. We fight against Elidibus, who is inside Xenos' body. We get defeated because Grahatia summons us to the other fucking world. He's like, hey, come here. You're like, no, I can't talk to you right now. And he's like, no, come here. And then you get struck down, you know? And it is that at that time, we slowly start to get into Shadowbringers as we receive our invitation the first, and so on and so forth. I need to focus on some specific things about this whole story thing. Tsukuyomi and the philosophy of, you know what, don't be too quick to judge someone. Wait to see it from their perspective, okay? You never know. Now, we're talking about a woman that literally stepped on Kozetsu's face, that is responsible for the murder of many people, and at the same time, she used our empathy at the end of the Doma Castle, if I recall correctly, to tell us her story. She's like, you know what, I did this because of my past, and we're like, oh my god, this is so bad, this sucks. She's like, yeah, but I didn't do it here for you guys to feel sad about me. We're like, what? And she explodes the palace. She's like, I just needed time. You're all gonna die now, bitch. And she kills us. Well, she tries to. This person, an evil person, slowly, the game makes you view her as someone unique, someone, you know what? Maybe I should hold my horses. Maybe I should not be too quick to judge. Let's see what she is. Let's see what made her like this. Second, okay, let's start with the Alliance raids because they were dog shit, okay? Like, I did not like Rebanastro, that was fucking annoying to me. We're not going to linger to this for too long. No, just no. It's the least fun Alliance raid I've done. It's the least immersive Alliance raid I've done. I think my favorite one is, I wanna say Nier. Yeah, I wanna say Nier because of Kono GG and Nano GG. Then we would go back to the Sky Pirates, then we would go back to the Crystal Tower, and lastly we would have Rebanastro, okay? Screw that. However, the raid was an entirely different thing. The concept of Alpha and Omega, and how the experiment, the weakest of Omega's creations, Alpha, was the one that in the end understood emotion and sentiment while Omega couldn't. I love this. How from the beginning you go to an end, and how every single end sparks a new beginning. How Omega would kill us but Alpha saved us. And how they went out to explore the world together, Alpha and the baby Omega. This is a really good thing to give out. This is a really good philosophy to promote in your game, in my opinion. How nothing ends. This is the circle of life, you know? Every ending is a new beginning. I've already spoken about music, I've already spoken about everything, and now we need to go to the cons. Guys, not everything is rosy, okay? Not everything is full of flowers, not everything is good. Unfortunately, like everything, this expansion also had its cons, and I believe that the reason why people disregard Stormblood in general is because of this con. First con, Lise. It's a pity because I liked Ida, at least, you know, before Stormblood. And then Stormblood hits, and she's utterly useless. The game itself sabotages her. So I cannot blame the character in itself. Okay, the character is an annoying bitch. Okay, that's pretty much it, you know. However, the game sabotages the character itself. Like, I don't think this is proper writing. Like, I'm not used into that when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV writing, you know. She was quite literally useless. Like, she could not contribute into anything. And it's a pity, but yeah, this stood out really bad to me. We also had Rebonasa that I said, and it's not that it is a con in the way that it made me hate the game or anything. It's a con because it made me feel indifferent. I don't like feeling indifferent. The guy that was, who was the guy that we fought like 4 times and in the end he became this fucking mecha bot and he was like, die, die, die in the encounter? Annoying piece of shit, you know, cracky voice. This guy, I hate it. That's good. That's good writing. You hate the character? Good writing. The fact that we spared him 4 times is not good writing, in my opinion. However, this guy, good. Rebonasa left me indifferent. Lisa hated because of the writing, not because of her character, which her character was pretty much useless, you know? So, if you address these weak points, you go back into the pros that are the story, super immersive, super down to earth, okay? It was not like, oh, you know what, we're gonna break the sky and we're gonna do this epic shit and we're gonna go there. No, it was one thing at a time. We got bit here, we go to the Far East, we deal with the Far East, we come back west, we deal with Xenos, and then we slowly start to develop our characters. You know, we have Nanamo, we have all the things I mentioned earlier, you know, in the video. And here is when it ends, like the expansion ends and you're left with a lovely emotion, like you're curious about what's going to happen in the future. Like, you know what? I look forward to Shadowbringers. That's what happened to me when I finished Stormblood. I was like, I want to take a break. And at the same time, I was, no, I want to find out what's happening. This is the perfect thing. Shadowbringers has ended for me. I have completed it. I can take a break before Endwalker. When I finished Heavensward, I could take a break before Stormblood. When I finished ARR, I could take a break before Heavensward. Stormblood did not allow me to take a break. I was super immersed. I wanted to play the game more and more and more and lose myself into this Eastern aesthetic era. Kugane is the most beautiful zone I've seen in the game. The music is the most pleasant and soothing I've heard in the game. The Four Lords, the trials, were something really enjoying, really chill, really pleasant to do. You know, it didn't take itself too serious, however, it did build upon Soroban. And you see, like, you have this miniature of a character that you meet at the first patch, at the first few quests, and then slowly you become friends with him, and at the end he just ends like this fucking god or something, you know? And the messages with, not Shinryu, or Suzaku, sorry, with Byako, all these bosses, I love them. I think that Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood is the best expansion I played Final Fantasy XIV, and I will take it one step further. I think Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood is the best story I've had in every single MMORPG. Why? Because it started down here and it progressively became better. That's all really. If you guys want to hear about my honest opinion in the entire Final Fantasy XIV, I have an honest review that I will link down in the description down below. You can also see and watch the Tsukuyomi video that I did. I really suggest you guys watch this. It is something, it's a genuine reaction. And no matter what I do right now and how I try to remember it, nothing will compete against a live reaction. I also have another video that talks about ARR and how I felt that ARR, people berated ARR and they're like, nah, it's not good. It is. It was good, okay? If you enjoyed this video, drop a like or don't. If you enjoyed it really much, give me a sub or don't. You can come and find me on Twitch. I will have that again in the description down below. Leave me your comments, tell me your opinions, tell me what you feel, tell me what you think, okay? What was Stormblood to you? Did you enjoy it? How did you feel? Am I wrong about Liz? How do you view her character? I am really curious to learn about these things. I don't often debate lore as much as I want to. And I think that this is the perfect expansion to do that. Because it's not too on the metaphysical side, it's relatively down to earth. And that is the reason why it stands out to me. Thank you for watching, okay? Thank you for being a part of this community if you are. If not, and you decided to join today, thank you for this as well. So without further ado, I think it's time for me to end this video, guys. And, well, you know what I always say, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay hydrated. Cheers!